I was going to be talking about this character. Because a lot of people been talking shit about her. Okay, so a lot of people are saying this character's bad because of her energy recharge requirements. I don't know why. They do say that constellations are necessary. I've seen some people go as bad as saying she's unplayable until you have her C6. I would have to strongly disagree with that. Now, let me give her a bit of a defense. Okay. She, in my opinion, is a lot like Goru. But I would go as far as saying that she is even less constellation dependent as Goru. Goru, when you get Goru, he's like a big flat stat stick. But leveling up his talents or getting his passives aren't very handy. In fact, the only really increase you can get after you get him is getting his C6. With the exception of some other stuff that helps, like, a few things. But if you're trying to increase damage, it's really just his C6. But out of the get-go, out of the package, he does definitely help. The same goes with Faruzan, except you can actually level her talents, and it actually increases your ammo damage bonus that you provide. That's not the same case with Goru. Goru, it doesn't matter what talent you have. He ain't gonna increase the geo damage any more than he does. Kujisara is actually the worst of the niche supports, because I'm gonna be honest, Kujisara, great character, but they kind of butchered her. She's only really usable, I would recommend, at C6. Not that she's not usable, but there's other characters that do what she does better until you get her C6. And even then, I think the big problem is that people are like, oh, but, you know, Faruzan's got energy recharge issues. Well, it does matter that her burst cost 80, but the same thing goes with Sarah. The only reason why Sarah wasn't necessarily an issue in the past was because people normally run her, if they run her at all, with Raiden, and Raiden's helping you with energy recharge issues. If you're not running Kujisara with Raiden, it's probably because you're running double Electro, and that helps with your energy recharge. Whereas with Faruzan, you don't get away with that. The thing is, I think if you just smack a Favonius Warbow on her, you give her a decent set. If you're struggling on energy recharge, run 2 Emblem, 2 Exile, you'll be fine. She really, really helps Zhao. And she really helps Wanderer. Even like her C1, you get 2 instances of this one, unlike Sarah, you know, where you have to get C2. Her C2 is actually really valuable. I think because people want others to follow the meta, they just don't bother with niche supports. True, I think people want characters to be released that can be used in any comp. Like, let's say I really liked Faruzan, right? And I was like, oh, she's my favorite character. I would have the incentive or the opinion of wanting to run her in every single team that I like to play. But with niche supports, that's not the case, because they really only provide the utility for people that are, like, you know, of the same element. And it gives people less of a reason to be able to justify running them in other teams. But then again, like, if you don't care, you don't really care. I mean, you shouldn't really let people tell you what to do. I think she's a great unit. Not as strong as she was in beta, but definitely not as bad as what I've seen some people insult her by. She has bad grouping without C6 and a short buff time. Okay, I can see the grouping bad. But why are you using... I've never needed to use her for grouping. Yeah, her grouping sucks, but that's not why I got her. As far as the duration lasting, 12 seconds. And if you get her C2, that's 18 seconds. That's almost as long as Zhun-Li's shield. That's really long. In fact, I actually finish his E ability before her burst goes down. And I burst before he even gets on the field. I think it even outlasts... Let's see, what Zhao's burst? Yeah. 15 seconds. It's actually going to be active for the full duration of his burst. So I don't think her... I don't think she's got a problem with how long it lasts. But, you know... I can see the grouping, though. That's definitely a valid argument. Skill buff only lasts 4 seconds, and res shred burst only lasts 4 seconds. It has to hit to apply. Yeah, but it's within that AoE, right? So it'll go around and hit them. I think maybe, I'm not sure, because when I play her, I don't even notice it being an issue though. I think on paper it seems bad, but I think in practice it's totally fine. I think the biggest problem I have is not that, like, I do think she does have issues, and I don't think she's flawless. But I think it's a little ridiculous when people say she's unplayable until C6. And there's also people saying that she's worse than Sarah at, like, C0. I feel like Sarah is literally low-key not very useful until C6. You would just run a different character. They do her job better. I'm not sure there's not... It's not really much of an Animo support. The way I feel like it is, just like Goru, I think she does her job plenty fine. She just buffs their damage. So she'll only be good with, like, Zhao, or Wanderer, or what's his name? Kizo. But, that team's probably not their highest team damage, because, yeah, you could probably just run, like, Kazuha and Benny, and you'd do better. Or I mean, I'm gonna tell you one thing real quick right here. Pull any character in the game with whatever team. If you get any team in the game, and you run, like, these units, these 2 units with them, most likely they'll outdamage your current team. Just smack these 2 people on there. They're gonna do more damage than your current team. Team lacking in the damage department, throw one of the 4 in your party and you'll be okay. Just make sure they have a decent build. It's a tough life to be a hyper carry main. If you're hyper carry main, you have to get the niche characters. Anyways, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on Faruzan. If you think she's weaker than you thought she would, or maybe you think she's stronger, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you guys feel like she's comparable to the other units? I honestly kind of like her more than Goru, because it actually gives me a reason to level up her burst. I have, like, almost no reason to level up Goru. And I remember people speaking about how they hated niche supports, but the thing is, we're at the point in the game where adding niche supports is one of the few ways you can create supports that, you know, aren't broken. But anyways, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Alright, and with it, that's a wrap.